Hey Angie, how you doing?
Hey Joe, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Brian, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, doing well.
Good. Well, everybody, I am very excited about this particular session because of the two individuals I have sitting with me right now. I'd like to introduce the two here. We have Brian Hasson. He's going to be the CEO of Wayfair and Apex Moving, as well as the president of the NYS Movers and Warehousemen Association. We also have Angie with us, who is very amazing at what she does. I've heard great things. She is the VP at A-Mrazek Moving Systems of Customer Satisfaction and Quality. Guys, thank you for coming aboard.
Glad to be
Absolutely.
here.
Thank you for having us here.
Awesome. Well, we're going to just dive right into it if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and take a look here. All right. So Americans shared which digital touch points they consider important. Ryan touched on this quite a bit, but we're going to go through the top four and gather some of your thoughts. Surprisingly, and not so surprisingly, coming in at number one was real-time GPS tracking of trucks. In this day and age, your food can be tracked on GPS coming to you. Your packages coming through Amazon. So I'm not too surprised at this, especially coming into a world where it's all about convenience and the customers being in communication with the moving company. Number two is the online booking that we talked about in the last session. Not necessarily being able to book your job over the website, but you want to put information in and get information back. Communication via email and text messages being pretty tight at number three, and then digital and e-signatures for documents. Now, I know that was quite a bit, but I want to get y'all's thoughts and your feedback on how y'all are handling this or experiencing this in your respective organizations. If Angie, you want to take it first?
Sure. So I totally understand the real-time GPS tracking of trucks. I mean, moving is highly stressed. It's a highly stressed event. People are anxious. They want to know where the team is, where their stuff is, when it's going to arrive. So from a standpoint of keeping the human experience alive with our company, we actually have a team of coordinators that will communicate with them proactively to make sure they have all the information they need as the process goes along. But as far as online booking, communication via email, SMS, I had actually just jumped in the chat earlier that we ask the customer which way they prefer to communicate with us, because you still do have a generation of folks that really want those phone calls every single time. They want to hear a voice. Whereas for me, I want to hear the voice on the front end, what we just talked about in the last session. I want to book with a voice and I want to get all my information with a voice. But then I'm okay with the text messaging with updates as we go along, or emails, or whatever that may be. So you really got to hone in on what your customer wants, not what's best for your company, what's best for the customer. And you have to be able to provide those solutions to them. And the digital e-signatures and whatnot, it's the same thing. I would say 99% of our customers are absolutely a-okay and prefer the e-signatures. But again, we still have a section of individuals that we do move that they don't either have email or they don't want to do that it scares them. And so you have to be able to provide that solution as well with the old school paper, bring it out to them, have them sign it. So that's kind of how we handle it here.
Awesome. I love it. I remember, so I've worked in 2 to 4 truck operations and 20 plus truck branches. And no matter which operation I was at, I can't tell you the amount of times, 7 a.m., 6:30 a.m., I'm getting the call. Where are my movers? Where are my guys? What are they doing? And being able to have that built in just alleviates so much of those morning calls and daily tasks. I definitely am a big advocate of it. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, and I think setting clear expectations of when the mover should arrive and having your dispatch operations locked down enough that you can consistently get to that. Um, Obviously, letting the customers know where your trucks are is a big help. But still, if they're not there on time, they might still be wondering what's going on, right? So, setting those clear expectations and making sure that you're consistent on how you dispatch is, I think, a big priority there. Obviously, the more information we can give the customers, the better. They're not always going to read it, right? Like they're not always going to consume it, but the more we can try to give that information to them, the better. So real-time GPS truck tracking, allowing them to book online. We kind of like a little bit more structure around making sure that we have the ability to lock in their items and their quote, but up until a certain point, we allow them to make adjustments and things like that. And we like Angie, we also ask our customer, hey, how do you want us to communicate with you? What's the best mode for you? And we just put a little note in their account and try to communicate with them in their preferred mode of communication. So I think that's very helpful. Another thing is that we hear here is, a lot of customers are like, man, you're the only company that's answering the phone or will call me back. And so I think that the bar is not necessarily as high as it should be for moving companies. And just being there, being available, answering the phone, and getting back to a customer quickly will set you apart from a vast majority of the moving companies in your market.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I reach out to moving companies daily, and the amount of times I've left voicemails and not even a call back, I could be a potential customer is huge. And so having those moving companies that maybe they don't answer on the first call, they're calling you right back within 5-10 minutes. That's a huge quality service. That you're right. The bar isn't quite there, but it should be.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's take a look at what we have next here. So staying connected with your happy customers. When you give that coveted 5-star experience to customers, this is what Americans voted that they're most likely to do. It's kind of comforting that number one comes in to tell your friends and family. Coming from a moving company that we started at 0 trucks, getting up to 5, the biggest, marketing that we could have done wasn't billboards, radio ads, Google. It was word of mouth referrals. People trust their people. Coming in number 2 was being a repeat customer for them. Number 3 was tipping your moving crew, and then writing an online review for your customers. I'm actually very excited about this segment to see how y'all, especially Angie, I actually noticed today that y'all are at 1,234 reviews and at a 4.9 on Google. How are you connecting with your customers, making sure they're happy, and getting them to leave a review?
So it actually starts on your docs. So you've got to get the team buy-in, right? First and foremost. I mean, that's going to be the top thing that you have to do before you even send them out to the job, or before your coordinators even communicate with the customers. Everyone's got to be bought in, and the buy-in for us, it's an experience we're delivering. It's not a relocation. So regardless of if we're doing a long distance move, a local move, a commercial move, it's an experience. Okay. And people that go on vacations have an experience. And when they have a great vacation, they come back, and who do they tell? They tell their friends, they tell their family about their experience. Well, it's no different in the moving business. You're delivering an experience, not a relocation. We're not in the moving industry. We're in the people business, offering a moving service. And so once you get your team bought into the experience that they're providing, then they're going to go into that with wanting to make an impact on that customer. And when you make an impact, positive impact, that's going to fuel the flame for that customer to do all of the things that you see on the screen right there. Tell their friends and family, do business with us again, tip the moving crew, the online reviews. That's huge. We talked about it a few sessions back about the Google searches. And I don't think as a moving industry, people spend enough time building up their reputation via Google. And it's not just getting a 5-star review. It is putting that customer out there to where they want to talk about their experience for the world to see. So any potential consumer who looks for a moving company now in your area and you pop up, they're going to read the novel that all of your customers have wrote about your company. So it starts on the dock. It's got to start with the team first.
No, I love that. The fact you hit it right on the head. We are in the people business because that's what we're moving. People, their lives, their belongings, and creating that 5-star experience in a very stressful time. It is huge. What about you, Brian? What do you have, sir?
I think Angie has a great point. It starts on the dock. And one of our industry friends, Ed Katz, is, when he talks about things, he's always like, WIIFM, I think is what he says. So what's in it for me? And with your crews, the better service they provide, the better tips they're going to get. So if they want to make more money, they want to provide better service to help maybe get them motivated a little bit. Talking about those tips, I think is helpful. The other thing that we do starting at the dock is we hire for customer service. We don't hire necessarily because you're a good mover. And my philosophy on that is almost none of our customers are going to know the difference between an okay mover and a great mover. But 100% of them know the difference between somebody who's good at customer service and somebody who's not. And so if we can get good movers who are great at customer service, the perception from your customer is going to be that you're excellent. And I think that, if you have a really good mover who's kind of grumpy, they're going to hurt your reputation. So I think that hiring kind people that are have a heart to help people, if you start with that, you're going to be successful when it comes to getting reviews. So I would say that to me, those are important things there.
No, absolutely. I've had some guys that were 5, 10, 15, 20-year vets, and maybe that fresh face year one mover, he's not the best. He can't pack as well, but he's got excellent customer service. He's got that smile on his face. They tend to be a little bit more successful, in my personal experience.
Yeah.
But I think what a lot of people are kind of wanting to hear from y'all too, being experts in this, it's how are you making it easy for the customers to leave that review? I know a lot of us struggle when they're in the middle of the move, they're unpacking the next 2-3 days, they're not thinking about jumping on, but how are you helping encourage your customers to leave you those 5 stars?
Yeah, so we have a QR code that was created years ago that is on like a business card, but also on our quality control form that every crew goes out with. And so on the form itself, customer has to sign that form, and right below that is a QR code they can scan that takes them directly to the 5-star to leave a 5-star Google review. They can opt to leave it on Google, Better Business Bureau, and or Facebook. We also work through a platform called Podium from the office. So the text messaging platform, which will deliver review requests to the customer. So we can shoot them that via text messaging too. In the event they don't want to leave a review, because we do have that happen sometimes, they don't have the setup through Google or whatever the cause may be. They simply call in to me, and they'll let me know how the team did. So that will count towards the review. We bonus our crews out for the reviews that they bring in. So it's a little incentive for them as well to an extra addition to do a great job. So just little things like that, you got to engage the crew with the program. It's one thing. I mean, we would hope that everybody just comes to work and wants to do a great job. Like that's our hope, but it helps if you can add in a little incentive for the crews to bring in those reviews. And they're not begging for the reviews. They know they're not going to get a 5-star review if they don't do a great job. And so they go in with the mentality, we got to over deliver today because we want to get this review. So.
No, absolutely. And I think that's one of the most effective strategies I've implemented myself is bonusing out the drivers on getting those reviews. We used to have these competitions where we called them our happy customer photo, where the guys would take essentially a selfie with the customer, the truck, and getting everything unloaded and, building that kind of reputation and uploading those into our Google My Business or our website was huge because we're showing actual customers. What about yourself, Brian?
Yeah. So when we close out our job through our CRM when the guys have the tablet, the customer automatically gets a text with the link to post the review. So that helps right there. Once again, for us, it goes back to the crews. We've tried many different things over the years of trying to encourage the guys to get reviews. And I remember a few years back, it was we had a bonus points program for them, and they would get 20 bonus points, and that would turn into dollars. And it was kind of a thing that happened at the end of the month, and it worked for a little bit, but then it kind of lost its luster. And what we've kind of transitioned to now is we have a weekly crew meeting with the guys, and I just go to the bank and get stacks of $10 bills. That's cost me half as much now, but a $10 bill and a high five and kudos in front of all their peers go a long way. So we read the positive reviews to the entire crew. We give those crew members one at a time. We call them up, give them a high five, hand them their $10 bill for each review. So it takes a little bit of time, but really encouraging and having that peer visibility on how important it is to us, so that they're motivated to give that customer experience, goes a long way. So you tie that in with the customer automatically getting that link to leave the review, and it works out pretty well for us.
That's awesome. I imagine that also helps with your retention as well. That kind of public recognition to the guys must be huge.
Yeah, we over the last couple of years now, we have the most tenured, longest lasting crews as a whole that we've had. Obviously, we have guys that stay longer and shorter, but as a whole, our retention has done really well lately.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear it, and I thank you guys for your input. Let's take a look at the next one. So, friends and families are the trusted source who Americans go to find a really reliable moving company. We kind of looked at this a little bit earlier today. To go over it again, I love how we kind of differentiate it between generations, but Google still number one, friends and family coming in. But one thing that I wanted to kind of ask you guys and go over it, but what do y'all do different? What do y'all do specifically to kind of not only necessarily get those reviews, but become that trusted moving company in your respective markets? What makes your companies stand out?
Well, I think what's most important is you have to follow through on what you say you're going to do. And so I start with the sales process. If we're going to sell something, we're going to sell services, we've got to make sure we're selling services that we can perform, that we can give those customers, and you'll break trust so fast if you start selling things that you can't deliver. And then also, so as it goes through the move process, being accountable through every aspect of that move. Things are gonna go wrong. I mean, we're all in the moving industry. We've all been through these situations, but it's how you handle those situations when things go awry. And it's the accountability factor that your team has to have at every step of the way. So I think, again, internally, you've got to have a mindset of everyone is accountable for this experience that this customer is about to have, all the way from the sales process through, if we have claims, through the claims process. We've got to stay accountable, and we've got to provide solutions to that customer.
Awesome. I love it.
You're in my head, Angie. Get out of there.
Great minds think alike.
It's and it's true character for a moving company or any person doesn't show when things are going easy and when things are going right. Anybody can be a good, and every moving company says they're great, they do a good job, but I think the true character comes out when things do go wrong. And there's been many times where hey, okay, on some moves, hey, everything goes right and the customers are happy, but it doesn't elicit emotion with them, right? But sometimes when things go wrong, and then we're really able to showcase who we are and how we are accountable, and we do have character, and we are going to stand behind our work, and we take care of those things for a customer, those are the times where you can really showcase who you are. And those experiences can sometimes create better lifelong customers than the job where everything went perfectly. So, if, for instance, a few years back, we were moving somebody, they had a split level house, and they had a baby grand piano. And I could make the story long, but I'll make it very short. At the end of it, the side light glass, the glass on the side of the door in the frame of the door, got spidered, cracked, and shattered. Mm-hmm. And the customer was really upset. They were closing on their house that day. They were frustrated. We got a hold of the glass company, convinced them to come out immediately. They came out, they took the piece of glass, they brought it back to their shop, they redid it. They brought it back to their house and reinstalled it before we were done unloading on the other end. We worked really hard to make sure that that happened for the customer. And that customer was a raving fan from that moment on, because we stood behind our work and we got to their problem very quickly. And I think that if you find yourself in those situations, take advantage of that, because that's where you can really create a raving fan.
I like the way you put that. Like, not necessarily the perfect move is the best referral, but the move where not everything is perfect and they rave about how you fixed and addressed that solution really shows y'all's character. I'm actually curious, Angie, do you have a story like that where y'all went above and beyond?
Oh, I'm sure we do. Like you said, cracked glass, you know, things are going to happen. I do actually have a story where we went above and beyond, but it didn't have to do with a relocation that we were at. We had a team of 2 coming back from a move that we were doing, coming back to the dock, and they saw somebody in their yard that was struggling putting a somewhat of like a porch swing together. And they pulled over, got out of their truck, had their tools, went over and helped this customer free of charge, not even a customer, helped this person free of charge to put the swing together, came back to the dock. Well, that person called in to our president to let him know that these 2 individuals did this for them and that they would recommend our company to anyone. And they didn't even use us. They weren't even they weren't even a relocation customer, but that's how, like, those little things, as long as you're wearing the name, you know, you're wearing the uniform, you got to make an impression on everyone you meet. So yeah, that was a great experience for them.
No,
And
I love it. When you say that, you know, we've had so many little stories, I'm sure, if you've been in the industry for a while, where just you wearing the t-shirt and doing something not necessarily on the clock is huge for you and your company and your personal brand itself. One of the questions that I've been getting here in the chat as well that I'd love to get your perspective is, when is the right time to ask for the referral?
yeah, so we actually do, we have 2 ways. So we have a, through text messaging, as soon as the move's completed, we send them a basic, would you recommend our services? So we go into a little more personalized message, but ultimately the question is, would you recommend our services? They simply reply back with the yes or no. Sometimes they leave us more messages than that, but so that's immediate. That's immediately after the delivery's completed. We've had our last communication with them on delivery day. Would you recommend our services? Our long distance customers, because we are an agent for United Van Lines, they do receive a survey as well about 3 days after the move's completed, to which again they are asked a multitude of questions, but essentially, would you recommend A-Mrazek moving in United Van Lines?
Are you getting more of a response on those same day text messages or the ones that are 3 days out?
Same day.
Same day? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Definitely. It's right there, right when they're present.
Yeah.
What about you, Brian?
For us, it's more of along the lines of the drip campaign, post move, just once again reminding them that we're there and that we love referrals. We don't currently have a strong referral program for past customers, but is something that we're looking at.
Perfect. Do y'all simply send it the one time, or are there reminders afterwards?
We will remind them. So if we don't get a response, we can remind them. I think it's set up for like two days afterwards. And then of course we're reminding them if they are long distance to complete their survey and whatnot. So we don't cut off communication as soon as delivery's done. We've got post move calls and emails and text and stuff. So we're in constant communication with them until they're ready to not communicate with us anymore, basically. But you know, we do have a high what we refer to as agent referral. So we bring in those leads, whether that's through our social, whether that's through, we get a lot of referrals from previous move customers. And so, yeah, so I mean, what we're doing is working.
How much of your business would you say is that those referrals or repeat customers that you're getting?
I would say from a referral standpoint, on residential, I'd say it's probably about a 60%, versus we also have programs through United Van Lines and whatnot where we get leads generated to us. So we definitely trend on the higher side of agent referral business, so our own referrals.
Awesome. Brian, you want to add anything, sir?
No, that's I think Angie did a good job on that one.
I feel like she's got all of the messaging right before we do.
Yeah, no, they're on point with all of that stuff for sure.
Okay. Well, if you guys had to give any specific one piece of advice to moving companies out there that are struggling on their end to get the referrals and get the repeat business, what would you give them? Let's say they're on the smaller side.
Brian, I'm going to let you go first.
For me, in owning two agencies, so I've seen this kind of at the ground level. One of them I grew from the ground up, and one we bought. And starting with your crews and making sure that they're doing a great job. If you're not getting the repeat referral business, if you're not getting the reviews, and you've tried compensating them, or you're sending out links, those types of things, you need to go look at your crews and make sure that they're making the customers happy.
And are those from surveys and feedbacks that you're getting from customers, how you're grading your crews, or how are you kind of evaluating them?
Yeah, well, if you get enough reviews, if your crews are consistent enough of getting reviews, and you have crews that are not, or you just don't get a lot, if companies are really struggling to get those reviews, we don't do surveys or anything because we feel like we can gain all of that through reviews. So if you're not getting the reviews, or you're struggling, or your team members aren't bringing them in, and you've tried some of these other things we've talked about, then your crews are probably not doing as great a job with the customers you think they are.
Makes sense. Definitely. All righty, Angie.
Yeah, right on point, Brian. It starts with the crews. So we struggled too when we first were trying to get our review program up and running. I mean, getting them to ask for the reviews, I think, was uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
So we had to overcome that. And then eventually it just becomes part of their identity, because if you can build a healthy competition, I mean, we're all human and we all pretty much have a competitive bone in our body. If you can build a healthy competition amongst the crews, they all want to be the best. That's what I've come to know. They all want to be the best mover. They all think they're the best mover, but let's prove it now. And like what Brian said earlier, is that recognition in front of everybody goes a long way. So it's the little things that you have to do consistently to build up for them to want to solicit that review, to bring in that review. So acknowledging them when a review comes in front of people, rewarding them for the reviews, making a bigger deal out of it, and making it a priority to let them know that we see what they're doing and we truly appreciate the hard work they're putting in for creating that experience for the customer. But you got to be consistent with it, because if you do it for a month and then you don't do it, they're not going to care.
Completely
because
agree.
you don't care. You're telling them
Correct.
you don't care. So you got to be consistent with it. But yeah, it takes time. It's not an overnight process, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. And you're completely right. We were always trying to build our Google review, especially as a new company here in Denver. And, we would try different tactics. Are we going to give them $10 per review? Are we going to give them a shout out in front of everybody? And we do like one strategy for a month and then switch to something else because we weren't getting those immediate results. But sticking through it and going through month after month after month where it's consistent, and your guys also trust you to hold up your end of the bargain, so to speak, was huge. And so I could agree more with that. And I really appreciate you guys sharing your insights with everybody here today. We're going to go and show a little bit of funny inspirations from other industries that help them drive their word of mouth as well. I'd love to get you guys' take on these. Have a little fun before we end out. So first and foremost, we're going to visit Botto Bistro. So these guys are, in 2014, Botto got tired of getting his, one-star reviews of his pizzeria. So he started a new campaign where every 1-star he got, that customer would get 25% off of a pizza. And at the end of the month, whoever had the most sarcastic, funniest 1-star review would get a free ticket to their cooking classes. Business boomed for him. by getting these little tactics, and his Yelp page has become pretty funny just looking at those 1 stars. But being able to make fun of those situations, I believe, was huge for him, and it helped grow his business. That's just one little unique idea of what to do differently, not necessarily as a mover, but as a business owner. Number 2, Newtown dentistry is a little more on the cuter side. So going to the dentist as a child, it's scary, it's not comforting, but these guys decided to deck out their entire office, make it a lot more kid friendly, have them even playing with stuffed animals, giving them dentals, was huge for his business, grew his word of mouth almost overnight, and becoming pretty dominant in his field as a dentist. Final and last little tidbit that we have was Holiday World and Splash and Safari. I'm not sure if you guys have experienced it, but these guys have a unique business strategy where they have unlimited sunscreen throughout the entire park, and that they also do soft drinks are free for everybody. So if you actually look at their reviews, all anyone can talk about is the free sunscreen that they come in with them and their kids and their families, and just getting that plastered on and saving on costs. Little unique ideas like these really drive home who you are as a company and as a business. One thing that we did when we first started opening here in Denver, Your Neighbors Moving and Storage, is every apartment job we had these little welcome home gift baskets, so to speak. And honestly, they just had the things that you would normally forget when you move into an apartment. Things like a roll of toilet paper, hand soap. We even had those magic erasers. So in case there was something that accidentally got scratched while we were there, just pull out the eraser, erase it off. Little marketing, little things like this really prove and show the difference between you and other moving companies. Want to give y'all one last little tidbit before we kind of close out here, but what are some of the fun ideas, especially you, Brian, when you first started out from the ground up, that you did to get yourself out there?
Well, I love the dentist one. I think that's great. I think for us, everything we do, I want to tie humor into, because if our advertising doesn't get somebody to come make a purchase from us, I want it to make them smile at least. So with us, on the backs of all of our trucks, our shirts, everything, there's something funny. So, we've trademarked just a bunch of grown men playing with dollies. There's jokes on the back of our trucks, on the back of all the shirts that we do, and our branding is very consistent. So anything we do, whether it's a truck, a shirt, the website, it all looks similar. So we have brand consistency, which I think is important. So for me, I like to make people smile. I like to make people laugh, and people remember our brand, and the number of times our guys, whether they're annoyed about it or not, but that they get stopped and want to get a picture or take a picture of the truck or whatever. To me, that's how we get remembered, and that's how I want to be remembered on that.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're not as creative as Brian, but I do have some ideas rolling in my head. But I mean, basically it's from the customer service that we offer to each and every client that we work with. But we also, and I know many people do out there, but if you're moving with us and you need some boxes, you need packing material, you need whatever it may be, because you want to take care of that yourself, if we have it, it's free of charge to you. We even have our sales reps that will deliver the packing material to the customer. So in the event that they don't want to come up here or can't come up to our warehouse to get it, not a problem. We'll get it to them. So just those additional touches. But I did have one that I saw a video where I think it was an ice cream shop, and they rolled out the red carpet. And every time somebody came into the door, they had to do a little dance on the red carpet to get up to the counter to the ice cream shop. Well, we have floor protection that we roll out. And it got me thinking, with the red carpet floor protection that we roll out, make your customers do a little dance or something, right? Make them feel like a superstar.
No, that's awesome. I love that. Especially moving into the new home. Here comes the red carpet.
That's right. Exactly.
Well,
and Joe, too, real quick, I'm going to give a shameless plug. I also host the Movers Resource Guide podcast. So if anybody's looking for, another venue to soak up more information from other movers, just like this thing here today, this conference here today, go on YouTube, check out the Movers Resource Guide podcast. A lot of great people on there too.
Love it. Love it.
Thanks.
No,
Thanks for letting me do that.
yeah, absolutely. There's no shame in plugging your stuff, man. I love it. I appreciate you guys coming on board and sharing your insights to it. It definitely means a lot to us and everyone who was here in attendance. Want to go ahead and start getting everything closed out, but is there any questions that we wanted to tackle here in the chat before we let Angie and Brian go? Let's see. No, it looks like everything is good to go here on our end. Not seeing anything, but I wanted to go ahead and let everybody know on the podcast, just a reminder, webinar, that we are going to be releasing the Moving Experience Report 2024 to 2025. It's going to be sent out to you guys directly in your email. And as we come to an end of today's webinar, I want to just express my sincere gratitude in each and every one of you guys for participating. Today, we dived into a lot of different dynamics in the moving industry, explored different strategies, innovations, and insights. I also want to thank everyone who was a speaker for today. Very heartfelt thank you for you guys. Your insights are truly enriched our understanding of the evolving landscape. And again, to our attendees, thank you for your active participation, thoughtful engagement throughout the session. Your questions and contributions have added depth to our discussions. As we wrap up, I encourage you guys to stay connected with us and explore further resources to help out you and your moving company throughout your journey in the moving industry. Remember, our team here at Supermove is here to assist you at every step of the way. And before we part ways, I'd like to remind you to take a moment to provide us with your valuable feedback and your input that helps us enhance further webinars and ensure they continue to meet you guys' needs and expectations. Once again, thank you guys for your times, your insights, and your commitment to excellence in the moving industry. Wishing all of you guys continued success and growth in your endeavors. Until next time, take care and goodbye, guys.